And it is that time of the week again. What's good, DTL Universe? Welcome in to DTL Golf. We are live every single Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and then on demand leading up to every Thursday morning. This week, it's a Rocket Mortgage Classic. By the way, I am the coach. And if you didn't realize, you take the Olympics week out, only 7 events left on the PGA Tour schedule before we get to the FedEx Cup playoffs. Now, as you know, we normally have a team of 4. But my guys are busy. They have other things to do. So you get what you get every single week. And we like to call this, hopefully Steve and Fast Eddie aren't watching, the A-Team. Let's bring in my partner, my guy, from the Golf Channel to the PGA Tour Live to DTL. He is the man, Robert Damron. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, having Steve and Fast Eddie on is like going to the strip club on Tuesday afternoon. You know, it's just they're not going to have their absolute best up on that pole. But this... prime time, baby.
Line of the year. It's so true. There isn't the best. Sorry, they hit my funny bone. All right. So me and RD, if you're brand new to DTL Golf, we break down the biggest storylines, and then we get to our best bets. Ricky Fowler is the defending champion, and he was at the lowest of lows a year ago, Robert. We'll get to him in a second. But I want to start with last week, because we saw more domination from Scottie Scheffler, and you and Steve were on site for PGA Tour Live. It's almost like Scottie Scheffler can't lose, but the way he won was different than he's won the other time. First player since Tiger Woods to win 6 times in a season. What did you make of what you saw up close?
Amazing, amazing stuff. It's all done with the ball striking. He made his few putts just last week. He missed several, made some boo-boos, but the ball striking is so far superior, and his mentality, his knowledge that he's going to win is so far surpassing everyone else that it is scary. We're almost, not quite, but almost to that point on the PGA Tour where it was the same when I was playing, whereas like if Tiger's in the field, boys, we're in trouble.
Wow.
Something crazy is going to happen for us to win. If we do, holy cow, we've earned it. And if we win another tournament like this week at Rocket Mortgage, it is wonderful. It's a lifetime dream to win on the PGA Tour, but it rings a little hollow without the absolute dominant player in the field. And it's not supposed to be that way, but by gosh, it is.
And that's exactly how it felt back in 2000 when Tiger really started to be dominant. He's so dominant right now, RD, that he has more points than 2 and 3, which is Rory and Xander combined.
Yeah. Those two dogs. That's something else. I said those 2 dogs, Xander and Rory, and you're beating both of them put together. Next level stuff. Amazing. We're lucky to be watching it, honestly.
We absolutely are. Now, I got to ask you this, because in the playoff, because of those idiot protesters, they had to move the hole up to the front left of the green, which kind of caused Tom Kim to have the fried egg in the right greenside bunker. Did you think it was unfair that they had to move the hole right before the playoff?
Not unfair. Unfortunate, stupid, ignorant. Something you were not supposed to have to worry about. And protesting is to kind of win people over, not make other people think you're so friggin' stupid that they wouldn't be caught dead with you. And I think they're kind of kicking themselves in the butts. I don't even know what they were protesting, but who cares? If you're going to act like an idiot, you're not getting the right people behind you. So, it was unfortunate. It was weird. Ultimately, when you're playing as well as Tom Kim is, and you've got a 60 degree in your hand, middle of the fairway, ball in hand, and you plug it in the bunker, it's your fault.
Yeah, when you put it like that, RD, you're absolutely right. Now, Tom Kim will be in the field this week as we spin it forward, playing for the 9th week in a row, I believe, is the number. And Ricky Fowler, he was, and it was almost funny because he had really gone to the complete depths Fowler had. Then he shows up last year, and he always gets the sponsor's exemption because he's a big Rocket Mortgage guy. Then the event that he wins is the Rocket Mortgage Classic. A little bit of irony there, but this kind of catapulted him to getting back into all of these events. But now this week we have a mixture of some big names, not highly ranked, but big names, and then some of those young cats that are coming onto the PGA Tour. How do you kind of look at this tournament now with 7 tournaments left?
I see this kind of, and it'll come out in a couple of my bets as a chance for people we don't know, especially, and I've given a little credence to Europeans that are good, solid players and have played well and won over there, but haven't quite broken out over here. I think this is a really good opportunity without the top U.S. players and some of the other guys in the field, and they're kind of emboldened. I've picked a couple good drivers of the ball, so I think they're kind of emboldened into this. And Tom Kim, 9 in a row, that's a ton. It's just a ton of golf, and not many are cut out to play that much. So, again, we'll see how we get our picks, but after the mental exhaustion of playing so hard and coming up just that short, how's it going to pan out in Detroit? We shall see. I've got a couple inklings.
And quite the tease by you there, RD, as well. You also throw in the fact that, yes, it's 9 in a row, but the last 3 weeks have been signature event, major championship, and he's competed on the weekend for those, and that takes so much out of you. It does. How much, for the people at home who don't understand, when you get to the weekend, but yet you do it multiple weeks in a row, how much can that take out of you?
So much because, well, one, you're just playing a lot. 9 in a row, that's just ridiculous. Guys don't do that on the PGA Tour once in a bluest of moons. But when you're playing well, that's not too hard. But when you're competing for a trophy and you're right there and you're playing your way up into the top of the leaderboard, which Tom Kim has been doing the last handful of weeks, the mental exhaustion, the focus that you have, the desire that you have coming down the stretch to finish as high as you can. He had a really good chance in Canada. He had an exceptional good chance last week. Mentally, it exhausts you. It's just, playing golf with your buddies, there's no mental exhaustion at all. Playing golf in a U.S. Open is mentally exhausting. And this is far closer to that U.S. Open where you're just playing so much and so good and you're grinding so hard that even at just barely 22 years old, it takes its toll.
No doubt about it. One other big storyline this week before we, look forward to the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Bryson DeChambeau, he played last week in Nashville. And per usual, he went from a ton of fans and a ton of media to not a whole lot of anything. And he's walking down the streets looking for the attention. But the one thing that I noticed is he's very bitter about not being included on the Olympic team. And he said this, and it's hard to argue, and I want your take. He's like, I just beat all the best players in the world.
Yep.
And I'm an American. And I got left out, and I wasn't even discussed. And I just did this in the majors. I did this at the Masters. When you look at the numbers in the majors, it's hard to argue with his argument. What did you make of the fact that he brought it up and he was so adamant about being left off?
Well, and unfortunately, it is a world rankings thing, and he just can't get the world rankings points. It's nothing anti-live. Joaquin Neiman, he's playing, for his country. So it's not that he's not eligible. He just couldn't get the points in the 3 counting events, the 3 majors that he needed. And it's a shame. It's a shame. He deserves to be on. There's an argument that he's definitely an argument. He's the 3rd best player in the world. You can't take away from Xander how he's played. Certainly Scottie's on a different plane right now, but there's an argument to be made for certain. And he has been dominant. His game it's so strong, tee to green to putt, and he's Mr. Popularity. He's Mr. Electricity. He's unbelievable right now. The fans are loving him. He's walking through the streets of Nashville with the U.S. Open trophy. I want to share this with everybody. What a grand turnaround.
I agree. I've never seen an athlete turn it around from a popularity standpoint, from being a heel to a baby face more than Bryson DeChambeau.
Not in real life.
Can you imagine a year or two ago, they would have just crushed him for walking down the streets of Nashville, Tennessee, carrying the U.S. Open trophy. Now everybody wants to touch it because it's cool how he went about it. It's all about how you go about it. All right, RD, thank you very much. If you're just tuning in live, this is DTL Golf. We are live every single Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and then we encourage you to catch us on demand leading up to the Thursday morning tee times. So, RD, because Steve is playing this week, because Fast Eddie felt like he needed to use his passport and go outside the country, I'm stepping up today, RD. I'm
Are you?
stepping up with you, big boy. You're damn right. We're going to cash with the coach this week right alongside RD. So if you're new to our show, we have 5 different categories. The very first one is a first-round leader. For all of you impatient golf bettors out there, who's going to lead after 18 holes? So RD, I almost went with Taylor. Let's start right there.
Taylor, so my formula on this first-round leaders is still the same. This is a really hard one to hit. I don't know that we've hit one yet. Frankly, I don't think I've hit one yet. I've been close so many times with the formula I've been using, and that's great putting. Absolute great putting is what gets a low round going. And we know a guy like Taylor Pendrith, who's 4th in putting this year on the PGA Tour, can get it going. He struggled the first half of the year, and then after the win at Byron Nelson, he has been playing very, very nicely. 2 top 25s his last 2 tournaments, a 16th and a 23rd. But we got to get in there and make some of those putts on a good golf course, a really, really old school good golf course. And then Ricky Fowler. A week ago, I would have never made this bet, ever. Mm-hmm. But he played nice golf last week. It wasn't the greatest, but he tied for 20th. He had a couple low rounds. He made some putts, and he is defending champ. So that's always good vibes. He's a truly great player. He's just in a lull. And the most important aspect of this pick, look at that right there, plus 6,000, the longest odds of anyone we've picked here. So, it's tough to hit, but if you're going to hit it and hit a Ricky Fowler, you want to cash in.
You're damn right. He also had a really good first round a week ago at the Travelers.
Yeah.
I think
yes, he did.
5 under or something like that. Mm-hmm. So he comes out of the brain. He loves this event. This is like his home event, so to speak, home away from home. So I like that pick a lot. I'm going to go with 2 guys. And kind of my theory on this, RD, was take the guys that have been A, playing well, B, finished well last week, and really need to be here, but they're kind of bigger names. So I threw like 4 or 5 different things into the blender. Akshay Bhatia is really starting to flex the muscles that he does not have. He's the most skinny dude I've ever seen in my life that competes at the high level. And last week, he was right there till the very end. He gave a few away on Sunday, and he was disappointed. I like to see that. He's not just happy to be there anymore, and he comes in under the radar. I think he's going to get off to another good start. He's had a lot of good starts lately at plus 4,000. Love that. Then Cam Young. At one point, he was 15 under par through 22 holes last week. I think it was 17 through 28. So I think he's starting to find his mojo just a little bit. He's had really an awful year for him. I think he found it on Saturday and Sunday shooting that 59, and I think he comes out and continues that in round number 1. What do you make of my 2 guys, RD?
I like them both. I think you're right. The Akshay playing well and then having a flat Sunday is a kick in the butt. And you're like, I'm not doing that again. My game's good. I'm not letting it slip. So you come out guns blazing. And Cam Young, man, I watched 15 and a half holes of that 59 with my own 2 eyes. It looked easy. It's not.
The game's not that easy.
Gosh, he hit it so good. It was amazing. He made some putts, but didn't make tons. He didn't have to. He just hit it that good. I love those. I love both those bets.
I just always go back, and I'm sure I told the story maybe more than once, playing with him a couple of years ago, not knowing who he was in a pro-am, and he shot like the easiest 66 I've ever seen in my life. And I offended him. I go, what'd you shoot? 69, 70? It didn't even feel like a 66. But that's who the guy doesn't even have social media. All he wants to do is make money, take care of his family. Novel concept. All right. Next category looks a little something like this. And, look, we got Producer Man has his own handle now in the chat. Oh, you have any production questions? Producer Man will answer them in real time. How about that? Really leaning into the persona. All right. This is what we like to call our bread and butter, head-to-head matchups. If you are a $100 bettor and that is your unit size, then we encourage you to bet full units on the head-to-head matchups. You only got to beat one other guy. You like 3 this week? And I got to tell you, great minds think alike. Why don't we start with Min Woo? Because I was really close to fading Tom Kim, and you did pull that trigger.
I did pull the trigger because of what we talked about earlier. 9 in a row, mental fatigue is a real thing. Don't care if you're 22 years old. And I know he's happy. I know he's excited to play. He and Paul Tesori grind as hard as anyone, and 9 in a row is just a lot. So if you're ever going to do it, I think this is the time to do it. Min-Woo Lee is no joke. We're getting plus 125, so he's an underdog, but he's no joke. His last 5 finishes in a row, and he hasn't played a lot. They're kind of spread out. This is since the Masters, have all been between 26th and 21st. You might say, well, that's not that great. Yes, it is. That's steady Eddie golf. PGA Tour is so hard, so hard. If you're top 25 and top 20ing, you are kicking behind, especially in a bunch in a row. He's never played here, but he's got that monster driver, some of the fastest club head speed of anybody out there. And more than being a Min-Woo Lee fan, which I am, I just think it's the week to kind of say, Tom Kim, you did it all. You've played your way onto the President's Cup for sure. You've played your way back into the form you wanted. Maybe this should have been the week to take a rest. His game might end up taking a rest, even though he is there. A couple more, Coach, that I like. I don't like that I like this one, but Keith Mitchell over Will Zalatoris. Will Zalatoris is a player I love and a guy that I've seen with my own 2 eyes multiple times, and I think he is a fantastic, incredible talent. You remember the last few years, well, every year really, how bad his putter could look. Sometimes he might even make the putt, but it looked like somebody plugged him into a light socket somewhere backstroke and shocked him. And the new putting style doesn't look that way. It looks smoother. Statistically, this is the worst putting year of his career, I mean. So this season looks better, is worse. That's really strange, and he's not hitting it as well. He's really kind of struggling. I watched him last week. And to have Keith Mitchell, who's a ball striker like very few out there, he's 4th off the tee, 10th approach. Last tournament he played, he finished tied for 10th in the Canadian Open. This isn't a too dissimilar a golf course. So I got Keith Mitchell over Will Zalatoris. Like I said, I don't like that I like it, but I like it. And this is another one, that last one that I saw that I'm like, this looks a little strange to me. Nothing against Davis Thompson, but I think Aaron Rai is not far off a world-class player. And again, I said it in the opening, there's going to be a couple Europeans that I think are going to be primed to win this golf tournament. Somebody that's supposed to win eventually, but kind of hasn't yet. And a guy like Aaron Rai is primed to do it. 4th, 14th, and 19th, his last 3 tournaments, tie for 9th last year at this tournament. So, yeah, taking him over Davis Thompson, who this is a driver's golf course. Davis has been playing pretty solid golf. This is his worst driving season he's had so far. So struggling off the tee is no way to go around this course.
After all of that, I ask all of you watching at home right now, I mean, do you want to do the work? Of course you don't. Just listen to my guy. Our deal do it for you. By the way, I looked up all of Will Zalatoris' numbers in the last 5 or 6 weeks. Awful. And this is the time of year, RD, where we start to see like big name guys who have to be here, not necessarily want to be here.
Correct.
And last year we saw with JT, right? He needed it. And this year I think Will Zalatoris is one of those guys because he hasn't played well. He wants to get higher heading into the playoffs. So you're going to see him at a tournament like this. So I like all of those. I love the Keith Mitchell play. I think Zalatoris has not been informed. Plain and simple. All right, my 2 head-to-heads, they're also based off. I really like to look at tournament history when a tournament is played at the same course. And Alex Noren played really well here a year ago. And Maverick McNeely is very, very hit or miss with me. And I think Noren we go back to the DP World Tour guys that have now come over here and playing full-time. Alex Noren is one of those guys. And he has learned how to settle in for multiple weeks in a row. Then Robert McIntyre. Don't look at what he did right after he won the Canadian Open. He had just drank for a week.
Sure.
Look what he did. Right, RD?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, he goes home, comes back, doesn't play that well, but then last week he did play well at the Travelers. So Taylor Moore, he hasn't been playing well. So I'm going to take Robert McIntyre, or as they call him on the air, Bobby McIntyre, where that came from, at plus 105. All right, category number 3, and we're sailing through DTL golf this week. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. A few of you in the chat are throwing some matchups out there. What do you think, RD, from Big Cheesy, Taylor Pendrith over Robert McIntyre, minus 130, a full tournament play?
They were paired together last week in a round that I watched. I'm not that I'm not impressed with Pendrith. I'm very impressed with McIntyre. This kid had it all, and he's got a little bit of fire in his belly. He's got not Tyrrell Hatton, but not a smooth calm guy either, right? He gets a little bit ticked, but I like that. That means he cares. That means he has high expectations for himself, and when it doesn't work out, man, he gets hard on himself, and I like that to a degree.
I like because it shows me that you want to be there. I have this saying, and I like to say to my kids, don't be too cool for school. Meaning, if you're at a big tournament, great. If you're at a smaller tournament, great. When you show up, it's the most important tournament. And he plays like that.
Yes.
He plays like that. So that's a very, very good point by you. See if we missed any other plays that you guys are asking about in the chat. I think we're good for now, but keep the questions coming. We'll try to get to as many as we possibly can. All right, category number three, and this is where we kind of tell you to pull the unit size back just a little bit. It's finishing positions, and RD, you stuck right in the top 20, and I watched this first name really grow up over the weekend. A little nervous on day one, and then showed us why he was number one in the PGA Tour University standings. Let's start with Michael.
Well, you know what I like about this pick too? If you remember last year, number one out of PGA Tour U came out, and Ludwig Aberg, maybe you've heard of him, and he played in this tournament. He got paired with Luke Donald, who was the Ryder Cup captain, and was one off the lead after 2 rounds. He got out at this golf course and just was so excited to play. We know his talent. We do. Some of you folks might not know Michael Thorbjornsen's talent, but it is up there. It's off the charts. The scouting reports are out of this world. And both my picks are kind of in that same vein. Guys that are just turning pro, just getting started. And they're at this golf tournament where they've been given a spot to play. And they're not playing against Scottie Scheffler. They're not playing against Xander. They're playing a old school, really cool golf course. And to go top 20 when they're not beating the cream of the crop, not that they're bad golfers, but cream of the crop, I think these are 2 pretty good bets. Thorbjornsen at plus 280 in a top 20. That I think could be done very easily. The guy is going to be a star and a guy I just love. Maybe it's not because he's the most fit guy out there, but he was low amateur at the Masters, low amateur at the U.S. Open, and this is his pro debut. There's a kick when you make your pro debut. There's an excitement like, all right, I've done all this work. Now let's turn loose and see what happens. Neil Shipley, who is a solid golfer, runner-up in the U.S. Amateur at plus 650. Those are the kind of numbers I like on a kid coming out and swinging full and is happier to be there than anyone in the field.
Yeah, he got to throw out the first pitch at the Tigers game.
Yeah.
That had to be really cool.
That's nerve-wracking.
Anytime you're the low am at the Masters, the low am at the PGA Championship, low am at the U.S. Open, or what all the stuff he did, you're solid. This kid is solid. And at that number, we're not going to be able to get that number for very long once he starts putting up these numbers. So I love the fact that you loved that early. Producer Man's let me know that people are asking where we get our head-to-head matchups. I get all of mine at DraftKings. They're really kind of the only book that has them up on Tuesday. What about you, RD?
I got mine at DraftKings. They're more for this time of week, Tuesday, when the tournament doesn't start Thursday. They're more accessible, easier to get to, easier to find. They're a little quicker on the draw than some of the others. So I got mine there as well.
Amen. Don't think, though, that whatever sports book we partner with, and we'll have one by football probably, we're going to be working with them on their golf offerings. It's very important to our brand. So it might be BetMGM. You never know. It might be DraftKings. You never know. But we will make the golf better. Got to make the golf better. Got to be better. All right. Very quickly, Steven Yeager. He played well here last year. He played well on the weekend, last weekend. And I think he's starting to trend in the right direction. So I like him at plus 135 for a top 20. And then Ryan, crazy like a fox. We saw what he did in Canada. And this is why we tell you all the time, pull your unit size back. He had a 4-shot lead on Saturday, and about 2 hours later, he was 3 behind of Bobby McIntyre. Got to be very, very careful. But I think he's starting to settle in here in the United States as well. He's been here for several weeks in a row. So at plus 500, top 10, I'll take a little sprinkle on that. Now, RD, category number 4. And you mentioned it that it is so incredibly hard to hit a first-round leader. It is harder to pick a winner on the PGA Tour. It's damn near impossible because we refuse. We are a Scottie Scheffler free zone. We will not pick him at plus 280. Ever at plus 280. But let me see, because, again, great minds are thinking alike. I love Jaeger this week. Let's start with him.
Jaeger, you just said it a moment ago. He's trending the right direction. He had a really nice weekend. And at this tournament, he plays very nicely. He's got a great history, a 5th and a 9th the last 2 seasons. And then he is playing solid golf just this season. Not every single week, but darn near every week. He's putting up some good numbers here and there. And then I mentioned it just a little while ago. European players going to slide in. This is just that kind of week where some of those really true proven winners, not on the PGA Tour, but proven winners. Steven Jaeger he did win earlier this year, but he was as dominant a Korn Ferry winner as there ever was. The guy knows how to play golf, knows how to win. This is the kind of tournament where he plays well, and that he could just slide right in there and knock the socks off of everybody. Another guy I've already picked, another European, another proven solid winner, just not on the PGA Tour, is Aaron Rai. He finished top 10 here last year. The guy is solid in every aspect of the game. And you know, kind of like we say about Tommy Fleetwood, one of those guys that when it's all said and done, we'll be shocked if he doesn't get a handful before it's all over.
When you're a player that they say, oh, he has set all these records on the Korn Ferry Tour, it's not really something you want, because that means you were on the Korn Ferry Tour way longer than what you should have been. But Jaeger was there a short period of time and dominated. He was awesome on the Korn Ferry Tour. Shout out to Harry Higgs, by the way, because of his performance so far this year. He has now cashed his ticket. He's going back to the PGA Tour. So shout out for him. Went to the depths. Now he's won several times this year. Really, really cool story for Harry Higgs. All right, final category. You guys know I like Akshay, Steven Jaeger. I don't need to spend time on that. They're my 2 picks. I just think Bhatia is going to keep winning. He's right there at the top every single week. Now, long shots. This is where we put everything else. Either a long shot to win, maybe a group play, whatever. It doesn't fit in the other 4 categories. We put them right here. What do you got here, RD?
Well, I took Ben Griffin to win. I just know he played nice and solid here last year. The Canadian Open, where he finished 2nd. Outside, it's a little longer of a golf course, but it's not that much different from this golf course. Tons of tree line tee shots. This guy's streaky, of course, but this is a long shot category. We're picking a guy that's a little bit streaky at plus 5,500. Thorbjorn Olesen, not Michael Thorbjornsen, who I picked earlier. Thorbjorn Olesen, a European who is a proven winner over and over and over. I think he's got 4 wins out there on DP World Tour at plus 9,000. This guy, he can play golf. He's got the U.S. players on vacation. This is a good time for a guy like that at those numbers, especially. That is amazing. And maybe I'm a little bit of a sucker for his emotional U.S. Open qualifier. Justin Lauer broke down after he qualified, got to play in the U.S. Open. That just means he loves golf, loves his position, wants to keep doing better. At plus 11,000, he did finish 8th here last year. Another guy that had some really solid finishes earlier this year. So at 11,000 plus, not too shabby a pick, in my opinion.
This is a guy, you talk about have gone through the ups and the downs, the emotions of life. Father passed away. Other people in his life have passed away. A couple of years ago at the Wyndham, I believe he missed the playoffs by 1 point, literally 1 point. It was like heartbreaking. Remember that? Oh,
yep.
Yeah. People tell me all the time, Coach, why do you guys, when you're doing PGA Tour Live or Golf Channel, why do you show that graphic of, every point matters? I'm like, well, because we show a graphic of 120 through 130, now 60 through 70, and it does matter. It absolutely, every putt matters. Every point matters. All right, quickly, Eric Cole. He's another guy, RD, who loves to play a lot of weeks in a row. He was the PGA Tour Rookie of the Year, played over 30 times, I believe, and he just likes to be out there. He took a long time to become a PGA Tour pro, and he says, listen, I'm going to play as much as possible. Last week on Sunday, he shot a 65, which included a triple bogey.
I didn't know that. I saw the 65. I didn't see the triple. Good for him.
Yes. He went out of bounds on 13, and it was, 12 or 13. But yeah, he had a triple bogey there. So plus 8,000, he's worth a sprinkle to me. And then look at kind of his top 5s and top 10s. I wouldn't mind that either. And then Cam Davis, he has won this event before. He's kind of struggled to keep his sea legs, but it's plus 6,500 for a guy I like to call the prototype. I think he's worth a sprinkle on a course that he absolutely loves. All right, you know what, RD? I feel like we have a better flow. It kind of goes a little faster without Steve and Fast Eddie here. You want to make some changes permanent? I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you.
It feels streamlined to me. They're going to have to do some real work to catch up.
No doubt about it. Shout out to Fast Eddie. He's overseas doing an event. Good luck to him. Steve Scott is playing a 3-day event this week, so shout out to him. Follow all my guys on social media, and thank all of you for coming in live. And for those of you who watch on demand, gosh, we thank you as well. RD, your final thoughts as we head into essentially the last 7 weeks on the PGA Tour.
Man, you know, the last signature event last week at Hartford, it was a barn burner. It was a great event. A lot of people had a chance, but now we've got a handful of tournaments left, not signature events to get into that top 70. It is going to be a free for all. It's fun to watch. I mean, we've got the tournament in Kentucky, the opposite field event. We're going to have a major championship in the Open. So there's still a lot of points and a lot of jostling for position to get that 15 million at the end of the season.
No doubt about that. By the way, I will be on the call next week on the John Deere. You'll be there also, correct?
You dang right.
See, whenever there's like a more low-key event, they bring the star power out.
That's right. They got to pump it up.
They got to bump it up. So next week, maybe we'll do like a video live together on site. Who never knows? And we'll throw it up here on our YouTube page. A lot of you over there, while me and RD are trying to be serious, talking about if I've ever thrown out a first pitch, understand this. I was all state in baseball in high school. So for all you scrubs out there, I see you, Japan, Big Cheesy, Joe. You guys understand.
Jealous.
You guys understand. You can talk and crash in the chat, but it's not going to happen. By the way, Joe says, tell AB to watch this show and learn how to not interrupt the flow. RD, you're never on the morning show, but AB lives to interrupt my flow. You're very respectful of my hosting ability, so thank you for that.
You're a consummate professional, and when you're on a roll, I step back.
My man. All right, that's going to do it for this week's edition of DTL Golf. Producer man, need that one shot. Thank you very much. Understand this. It's time for you to go out to the golf course. It's where I'm heading literally right now, grabbing my son, and we head to the golf course. So we're trying to get better every single day, and hopefully you guys do too. Remember, we're just getting started. We're building block by block by block, and the grind never, ever stops. So with all that being said, there's only one thing left to do, and I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these Golf Rocket Mortgage Classic tickets straight to the pay window. My tiger, my man RD, producer man, who is now in the chat all by himself. I am simply the coach, trying to keep this train on said track. We grind for you so we can win with you. It's what we're all about right here at DTL Golf. Good luck.